Greetings, hello. This is a unscripted, thrown together rant. So let's get started. And this is my first video too, so welcome. I assume the title caught your attention. What I want to talk about today is something I've come to realize after 15 years of extensive research that all of a sudden one day hit me. And I don't think anyone else has ever spoken about this or has talked about this. And I need to bring this to the table at least. And so that is, on this planet, there are many wars, but there's a war for domination going on. On one side you have NATO, and on the other side you have Russia. You can argue that those are two white countries. Slavs and Western Europeans. They're fighting each other because they think that the winner will have all ownership over the planet. We are now in the modern era. It is now a lot easier for one country with all its technology to be able to control the planet like never before. They want that. They want complete domination and control. They want to set the laws, the standards. They want to tell you and me what to do. They want to tell us what to do. And they just want to dominate. The Muslims and Arabian people, they have their few super states as well. Saudi Arabia, Iran. But the United States and Europe have been in there since forever. They just now left a little bit. They're still there. They have their naval fleets all over there. They act as if it's their jurisdiction. They ask no permission, and they wouldn't even recognize these countries if they didn't have to. I can see through the sham, and I hope you guys can too. So the Arabs are down. The whites are fighting against themselves. In Asia, some like China are trying to trudge along their own path and forge their own future at the head. And some cater to the Western Alliance as well. I'm looking at you, South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. They're caterers. They're just catering to the West and doing whatever the hell they want them to do. Right? And so, where's the Latin superstate? All I've ever heard from Latin America are memes and drug dealer jokes, right? And it leaves me baffled, because where did Latin come from? The Roman Empire. In the dark and medieval ages, you were considered illiterate if you didn't know Latin. But now, it's thrown out the window. I have said that Latin influence, the Latin language, which was the one used by the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire and all of them, that language was in power and was what English is now, but for about 2,000 years. And English has only been the language you and I and the language of business and trade for 200 years. You can't compare 200 years to 2,000 years. I don't care. Latin was so important, so relevant, that it was the thing way before you were even born. That's how relevant it was. You can't tell me it's not relevant. The religion. Rome legalized Christianity. They were the first people who recognized it. And that's thanks to them. If you want to say thanks to them, I guess. It's so popular in the world now. But I want to go ahead and start with my main point here. Is that Mexico has, compared to any other ancient Roman imperial province, Spain, France, Syria, all that, whatever, our population of people dwarf theirs. Not only does the normal population, but the religious side as well dwarfs theirs. Mexico holds the most practitioners of Catholicism, Roman Catholicism, than any other country in the world. Before, well, a lot of the European countries in the Middle Ages who went through the Protestant Reformation, England left the Pope and established its own church. They all went against the Pope. They don't want nothing to do with Rome. And so the idea that the United States is the modern day Roman Empire is completely false. It's a Protestant country that comes from the British Empire, who rebelled against them and made their own thing in the New World, which Mexico was doing until we lost that war, unfortunately. We weren't consolidated at the time. Our presidency changed hands 4 times during the war. We were independent for 20 years at that point. United States was already independent for about 50, 60 years. We weren't ready for a war of that size. But they got the casus belli straight out of the playbook of Julius Caesar and those great Latin generals that the world in the Western world loves to revere so much. I don't hear Clovis and Childeric and Alaric and all those barbarian names. When you hear of great generals, you hear of Julio Caesar, Marco Antonius, Aurelianus, Hadrianus, Trajanus. Those are all Latin names. My people. Latin America, Mexico. The most religion, the most people who practiced the religion that the empire legalized and practiced, more people in general, and the architecture. You can look up Morelia, Michoacan right now, and it'll pull up very beautiful picture of a Mexican aqueduct. So we have the architecture as well, the 3 big ones. We dwarf the others. That Campus Martius was an old Roman military fort outside of Rome, or near Rome by the river, Tiber River. If you Google Campo Marte, which is how you say, right? It pulls up Mexico. In Mexico City, the capital city of Mexico, they have their own Campo Marte. Very derived from the original one in Rome. So that just proves my point even more. In the United States, they use things like the county for individual small jurisdictions and stuff like that. In Mexico, they use the municipio, which comes directly from what the Romans used to use, the municipium, whichever way you'd like to pronounce it. So Mexico, I will say, they acknowledge a few things of Roman Latin stuff, but the majority of them tend to look towards the Aztecs and Mesoamericans more. And in my ideology, those are the losers. Those were the pagan people of the region that were Christianized by the conquistadors, and they're the sons of victors. They're the sons of the Spanish conquistadors. They were given a heritage that they should uphold and be more proud of. I highly doubt that they talk about this in Mexican education systems. It's in my idea that they should prioritize what I'm telling you guys now and teach them about the tactics of Julius Caesar. Teach them about the way Cicero talked and spoke and what he advocated for, and teach them what Octavian did and the follies of the other incompetent generals that arose as well. I feel if we teach the Mexican people more about this, their Latin heritage, for crying out loud, it would create a more radicalized and patriotic people. Mexico has an advantage. It's not a melting pot. The United States self-proclaimed itself a melting pot. Mexico, everyone's Mexican. If we can radicalize them into thinking like this, into revering and thinking boldly and in a great way, instead of what I see now is just incompetent leaders struggling for scraps and bits, not making any real power plays as their Latin ancestors would have. For example, Mexico's population is 125 million. Back then, Mexico controlled Central America until they revolted. If we can annex Central America peacefully by offering economic incentives, freedom of travel, better healthcare and welfare systems, they should be re-annexed. Their population combined with Mexico's current population would be 308 million, up against the United States population of 311 million. A lot of the country's success has to do with their population pool. That's a great power play that I think they should do, and none of the people in Mexico are talking about this. I'm worried about them. We cannot let ourselves be ran over by imperialistic empires abroad when we're sitting there like ducks, when we're the true heirs of the Roman legacy in the New World. So what are we gonna do? That's my question. I'm making this video and making it public, and see who it reaches out there, and just to put the message out there and get people thinking. These things matter. We're small players in the big picture, but these things matter, and that's why they've been going on for so long. But it's just a small rant. My first video, very unscripted. I'll try to improve the quality and create some scripts and try to inform more and properly word what I must say. Basically, to top it all off, we need to stop looking at us Mexicans, need to stop looking at us as just Mexicans and create a Latin superpower where anyone who considers themselves a Latin can come and join, whether from any country, and put the Latin master race back on the seat where it should be, so we can compete, as the United States so fondly loves to put it when talking about other countries. They like to compete. Well, we should compete as well, and we have something amazing to look back to and great potential. Godspeed.